Hello, hi, welcome. My name is Jen, and sometimes I do a little sketchbook tour. This one is long overdue because this one I finished in November of last year. So it's been over 6 months since that happened, and I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. Uh, Forgot to mention this. This is a Paul Rubens 100% cotton sketchbook. I really, really like these. These are some of my favorite sketchbook paper I have encountered so far. I wish they made bigger versions of these sketchbooks because these are pretty small. These are smaller than A5, I think, or are they A5? Something around that. I'm very informed. But yeah, I love these. I wish they made bigger ones like A4 size or something. I would use the shit out of them. Anyway, let's get into it. First, as I like to do, I swatched my watercolor palette on this. This is still the old version with the many greens. I have since changed up this palette a bit with, rearranged some colors, took out some of them. But it's a blast from the past because I started this in 2023. This is a very eclectic one because I filled it over 1.5 years. And while I had this, I also simultaneously had a different watercolor sketchbook running at the same time, which is why I didn't regularly draw on this. And also, just getting this out of the way, this was 2023 to 2024 was kind of when I was taking quite a lot of a break from art. I wasn't drawing much because I was recovering from some very intense burnout, so there just wasn't that much going on anyway. First page, I got these 3 super granulating watercolors from Schminke. They were in a set, and I tried them out in this painting of my character Jasper, just because he has a lot of blue in his design. So I was like, well, no better time to try out these blues. And yeah, not much to say less. These were me experimenting with another set of paints I had gotten. I gotten them for Christmas in 2023. These are some of the M. Graham watercolors. This set had like the green you can see here. It has burnt sienna, I think it is. It has a yellow ochre, it has a dioxazine violet, and I think a cerulean blue. And I was testing out what kind of different vibes you could be getting from this. I experimented with these a lot more in a different watercolor sketchbook, but these are also some OC doodles, but nothing serious. This was the second M. Graham set I'd gotten for Christmas. This is the Cityscape set. This is a Payne's Gray, I think. This is a fucking. What is this? Words. This is a sepia. This was a pyrrole red. This is just middle of the road yellow. I forgot the name. I should know this, but I forgot. I'll probably add it in post. But yeah, I was testing these out here. This little doodle and this little flower study, which was probably, as most of my studies are, from a Pinterest photo, because it's just an easy way to collect reference material. Then a little painting of my character Riven, who is a vampire who has blood magic, so this is why we're a little edgy here with the blood. It's fine. Yeah, this was still before I started my big Pokemon drawing project, so I was not very good at it yet. I was still kind of out of practice, but there's a little Mudkip and a Mudkip themed Pokeball because I had some space left over and I had to fill it somehow. A little Bulbasaur, a little Booper before I got better at drawing Boopers. He looks very bad. He looks so silly. This, I think, this, first of all, it is. I got my shiny Paul Rubens paints on this because I have to use them for something. I bought them, so I should get some use out of them. But yeah, I think this was a redo of an older painting from a different sketchbook because I was just extremely uncreative at the time, and I was like, I want to paint something, but I can't think of anything. So one of my go-tos is to just redraw, repaint something old, because, you can feel good about your improvement, and also you don't have to think of any ideas. These are more of the super granulating Schminke paints, and I was testing them out and thinking, what would be cool? Since they granulate like this, maybe you could use them to paint like galaxies and like a night sky. That could be fun. So this is what the next few pages are about. So this was my first attempt. I think here I started with a layer of washes where I just put in these granulating paints. And then in the next layer, I added the black on top, and I was like, well, this doesn't look as nice as I thought, so I ended up dropping in some more colorful paints that have more saturation. These are pretty desaturated. You can see that here. And then at the end, I still added a little like white Milky Way thing up there with gouache. Didn't love this, so I tried again. I was like, well, we gotta experiment, right? So this is the second one I did, where I started at the base layer with my colors. Like, I threw in all the saturated stuff, and then on the next layer, I put the granulating watercolors together with the black, which turned out to be a massive mistake because I don't know how well this picks up, if you can see this, but the texture it created is absolutely god-awful. It, just looking at it makes me extremely unhappy. This was a failed experiment, as they say. I tried to save it with some white and some sprinkles, but I don't like it. The granulating paint also made the black granulate way more, and it's just, don't like this. So at the end, I tried again with this one, and I do like how this one turned out. Because this, unfortunately though, this one was mostly done without the granulating paints. I think I, again, did like the granulating paints and some saturated paints at the lowest layer. Then I did the black on its own layer, and then I realized that this wasn't saturated enough, so I ended up, re-wetting the whole thing, adding in my white galaxies, and then right next to them dropping in some more saturated color, which I think worked really well. But yeah, that was my foray into trying to paint night skies. I think the granulating paints were not ideal, ultimately. Then I have a little drawing of my OC Lucifer, because I love him. I do still really like how this turned out. I like how soft and pastel-y it is. And now we've reached the point, this was like mid-year, I think, somewhere, where I started my big Pokemon drawing project. And for the first month, I was drawing Woopers and Quagsire. So here's a little sleepy Quagsire. And this is like a month later, so you can see how often I painted in here. So we've got some Ferret and Centret, who I also love. They're very cute. In between, I got some inspiration to do like a fun, like summer themed blown out painting of my OC Pearl. This is also based on reference imagery I think I got from Pinterest somewhere. And I still really like the vibes of this. There's obviously some issues in the face with the whole symmetry bit, because I was not very careful with my sketch. But the vibes, I really like how that turned out. It's very, you can feel the summer coming off it, which makes me very happy, because that was the intent. Moving on further in my Pokemon project, this was, I think, in October sometime, when I was doing Gengar and his family. I even did 2 of these because I was very motivated back then, I suppose. I even gave this one a little shiny paint, because again, I have so many of these, and it really doesn't take a lot to do a little embellishment. So they never empty out ever. I'm probably going to use this until I'm like 70 years old, which will be next week. No, so next month I was doing Mudkip, I love Mudkip. This one's so cute. This is, I think, one of my favorite paintings in here. It's just, I love everything about it. It just has this watercolor lightness. The Mudkip turned out really cute. I love the combination of the blue and the orange. It's just very fun to me. Then after that, the month later, I was doing Joltics. So I did a little Joltic painting together with an apple, which I don't love how this turned out, but I was experimenting. You know, sometimes things just go badly when you're trying. Yeah, these are also not great, but I think this was probably in December or November at this point. I have this set of these like dark desaturated watercolor paints. It's like I think it's a sixer set. It has like a dark blue, a dark purple, a dark green, a dark red, and it has this like grayish, greenish yellow. That's only 5. Am I forgetting something? I think a dark brown. There's also a dark brown. 6. Yeah, I can count. And I just felt like taking them out again. And I first painted this one, I think, and I combined it with a little gold paint. And I do really like the effect of this, like the dark desaturated colors and then having the gold as an accent in there, I think works really, really well. And this one I started without much of a plan, and yeah, eventually I gave up. I was like, you know what, we don't even need to be fixing this, because frankly, it's just not good. It's not worth it. So I just kind of gave up on that one. Oh, these ones are fun because this, I think I have a recording. I have a video of how I was painting this, because this was done when I was putting together a new fun custom watercolor palette. And this was one of the first things I painted with it. And I still really like this. This is also based off of an older watercolor painting I did like years ago, 5, 6, whatever. And I really like how this turned out. It's very cute. I like it a lot. And then we're continuing on with the Pokemon, which Little Turtwig and Torterra, which I love a lot as well. This is also, I think, one of the contenders for favorite painting in this. There's kind of almost no middle ground. There are some of these I absolutely love, and some of these I'm like, oh, this is terrible. But yeah, after that, it's just, these are all, I think, just straight from a reference on Pinterest. Here I was experimenting a bit more with color, and here I was experimenting more with the granulating paints again, because these were both done with that custom palette I put together. This one I think was with, oh god, what's it called? It's one of these Prima watercolors, Art Philosophy, I think they were branded at some point. I bought one of these while they were still a good price, where they were like 20 euros per set, which is perfectly reasonable for a 12-pen set, I think. But now they're at around like, I think 40 euros or even more for a single set. And I'm like, oh damn, okay, that's too much now. That is not worth it, because these paints are fine, they're pretty solid, but they're not that good. And for 40 euros, you can get way better paints than those. Continuing on my Pokemon project, a little Meganium. I only learned as an adult, because I wasn't really in online fandom or fandom at all for Pokemon when I was a kid or teenager, that some people have like real beef with Meganium, that they hate him, which I don't understand. He's just a little leaf dinosaur. He's so cute. How could you dislike him? I don't understand it. But yeah, this one I'm really proud of, because it turned out so well. It was basically the first time I was painting outside from real life. I was on a trip with a friend, and we were both painting this tower, and I love how it turned out. I'm so happy with this. It's just, I couldn't have done this a few years ago. It's so good to see your own growth in your work, it's very reassuring. I think these paintings are also from the same trip. Some Eevees with the worst faces imaginable. I wish I could. I'm going to censor these. I'm not. And also this little mermaid. I think I don't love this mostly because I think I should have gone desaturated for the background so that she sticks out more from the page. But I just went with a very dark indent throne blue, which not the most helpful in the situation. But at the point where I realized what I should have done different, I'd already peeled off the tape, and I was like, I'm not going back in again. It's just a sketchbook. It's not that serious. And to redeem myself from the terrible Eevee painting before, I did another Eevee, which I like much more. I think this is really cute. I really enjoyed this, but this was, I think, when I was already back home. Then this one I also really like. It's because this one, I think it's also based on an older one, but the fun part here is that this was done with only 3 paints. I think the yellow is a New Gamboge, the red's like a Scarlet, maybe? I don't remember. And the blue, I think, is a Prussian blue. And I love the range you can still get with only 3 colors. Very fun. And yeah, here you can see the red a bit better by itself and how the blue washes out. Because this was also done. I had some, rest of the paint left over on a palette, and I was like, well, I might as well use them up, And these are, once again, with the M. Graham paints I mentioned earlier, with the 5 set. I think it's called a landscape set or whatever, with the browns and the purple and the green. Studies from Pinterest to get a little more familiar with the paints. It's interesting how different paints can be so different. The M. Graham paints are crazy saturated and they're very thick. They have so much pigment in them that you have to be careful when you use them if you want a diluted color, because these are so intense, which is great. That's like a great mark of quality. It's just a little disorienting when you work with less saturated, like with less high quality paints in between. Also, they have honey in them, which makes them smell a bit like honey, but the problem is the honey smell mixes with the smell of like the pigments and the rest of the binder and stuff, which is more, artificial chemical smell, and the combinations are really fucking bad. Oh, the smell of these paints, not ideal, but if you let them breathe for a bit, it dissipates. But when I first smelled them, I was like, oh, this is a fucking one hit KO. I'm so dead. It's really fucking bad. I have never had other paints that smelled this intensely or this off-puttingly. But yeah, these were also all from Pinterest. This was with the M. Graham Cityscape set with the intense red and yellow. I really like this one too. These are also nice, but I don't even remember what these are done with, but I think these are with my standard watercolor set. Because are they also with the M. Grahams? I don't remember, unfortunately, but I do like them. I think they're nice. I think the shadows, like the deep shadows on this one, really turned out nicely. And we were almost at the end. I know this is from the October of 2024 because I painted these on Friday the 13th in honor of black cats, because I love cats and I love black cats, and it was just the perfect motivation. And I was like, well, it's Friday the 13th. I might as well start painting black cats. What other day could I possibly be doing that? And in the Halloween month? I just have to. So I really like these. Added some gold to the second one. I do think I like this one a bit more than the other one, but they're both very cute. And then finished it off with another one of my characters. I'm a little torn on this. This is also one where I'm like, I don't really love this, but it's okay, I tried to make it a bit nicer by adding all the shiny paint on it, but I don't know how well that worked. but it's alright. It's not going out with a bang, but you know, that's just how it goes. I think it's funny when sketchbooks have these pockets because I never use them. And I was like, well, what do I do with a pocket? But yeah, that is this little Paul Rubens boy. Again, I wish they made bigger ones of these because I really, really like that paper. Just noticed I also got some of my own gold ink on here. But yeah, no, these are very good. I would totally recommend these. These are also relatively affordable. I think this was like 15 euros, which for 100% cotton paper, that's extremely solid. Anyway, as always, I would love to hear if you've had favorite pages, which ones they are. Mine's probably the Mudkip, but yeah. Thank you for sticking around until the end. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you around.